Hi everyone, it's Stacey here from Outset Medical. So excited to be back with another one of our wonderful Unplugged guests. Today I have my friend Ruben Moreno, who is the head of wine service at Robert Sinsky Vineyards. He actually has had a really storied career, not just in winemaking, but also in the military as well as restaurants like the French Laundry. And today we're going to be talking about quantum team practices. Hey Ruben, so glad you're with us.
Thank you, Stacey, and I'm really excited to be here. But yeah, I'm excited to share some of my insight from a very chaotic and intense industry like the restaurant industry and hospitality.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that caught me in your background was you've had almost like 3 different lives. You've had the military, you've had your time in kind of these high-end restaurants like the French Laundry, and now you're a leader in this biodynamic and organic winemaking initiative. Across those 3 careers, what are some of the principles around leadership that you've honed over time?
Well, one of the first things that I've learned, even from high school, I play sports, I play water polo, I wrestled, I play soccer, cross country, all these sports. But what we learned it was really to learn how to follow in leadership. Before you could be a good leader, this is something our drill instructor would say in the military, is before you could be a good leader, you have to be a good follower and you have to listen. And listening is something that is incredibly hard. It was really hard for me. And I think at the military, it really helped me hone that skill. And furthermore, once I attended the Culinary Institute of America, so the thing that connects all these experiences is really this very structured environment. The military.
Yes.
The Culinary Institute of America was founded by military personnel.
I didn't know that.
Yes, so the brigade system is also is the basis of a traditional kitchen, and is Escoffier, which is the main head of Nouvelle Cuisine and cooking in general. He was in the military, so there's a very structured brigade system in the kitchen, so that connects to that. And then hospitality, in a sense, because of all these things, there's a hierarchy to it, and there's a system to it.
Yeah.
And so there is almost a connection to everything I've done, and it fits my personality, and that's really important too when you're managing people, to really know where they fit. But yeah, it's kind of the main aspect of that. And then I think, for me, I've always been very goal-oriented. And once I decided to go into the culinary field, it just made sense. The school was incredibly expensive. The school that I went to in Hyde Park, it is still considered one of the most prestigious schools in the world. And so joining the National Guard offered me a way to pay for that. And so from then on, I just, focused on that. Okay, this is where I want to be, that's what I want to do, and I had to do everything around it to make sure that I went that direction. And later on, I fell in love with wine, but again, biodynamics, even though it's the end part of my career, focused on organic and natural wines. When I was young, I was very involved with environmental cleanups of the beach in San Diego where I grew up, so I would do a lot of things like that, and I was always very concerned with the environment. And so it was just a culmination of my whole life coming into this, and ending up in Napa Valley and in a company like Robert Sinsky Vineyards.
You know what I love? I love what you said about high-performing teams work in structured environments. There's a hierarchy, there's order, there's a system. You also talked about goals and kind of that shared mission. And then, when I see you kind of as this leader in this new kind of biodynamic and organic winemaking, it's about imagination. You're seeing a future that could be.
Yes, sometimes we think that we think that structure is the enemy of creativity.
I've heard that, but I don't think it is.
But it's not. A lot of people, to be creative, you need to have structure. You need to have a certain level of skill sets to be able to be creative, and you need to get there. The great artists, they are first get to a certain level of skill set before they become a master, and then they could start creating new things. But for us, but specifically the French Laundry, for example, you walk in the door you feel serene, you feel at peace, you know, you're being pampered and cared for with, you know, either wine or food, or even the attention from the waiters and the staff. And you walk around and you see everyone moving very elegantly, and that is not a coincidence, because Laura Cunningham, who was the director of operations at the time when I was there, she brought in ballet instructors. We talked about body language, the way we carried ourselves.
Yes.
How to walk out the door and deal with a difficult guest. How to deal with a guest that has incredibly high expectations. And so we had all these little things that we did and cues that we gave to people psychologically through body language and through verbal cues too as well, to kind of manage their expectations and then exceed them. So nothing was left to chance, even though it seemed very casual and easy.
I think you just hit on something which the best teams do, which is they anticipate each other and they have those cues. It's almost like its own language within the team. It's flawless and maybe even imperceptible to somebody else, but within the team, it's a code. And I love that you said that. Ruben, thank you so much. This is just a quick snippet of our Unplugged series with Ruben Moreno. We're talking about quantum team practices today. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you.